Hello everyone and welcome to Smash Chat. Today we have What They Should Do,
How's it going, guys?
Smash Mario Pro 2000.
Yo, yo, yo.
I'm really hoping I say his name right. Gingaman Prime.
Okay, two things. Gingaman Prime.
Dang it.
And also, why do Nintendo fans always go crazy? Because they talk about Smash Brothers. More on that later.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for the context on that one.
You'll find out later.
I'm sure we will, because our topic of today is the Rated M theory. Now, this has already been around for possibly, a month or two or so? I remember hearing about this from PapaGeno's channel, but with evidence more and more piling up every day that a new fighter is very, very close to coming out, it felt like we had to get something out of the way, and it might just be our Rated M character. It might not, but hey, let's get the discussion going. Message while editing this video, yeah, we're gonna know who it is tomorrow! So, you can't get much more evident than that. But, I'm just gonna let this part play out. If you'd like to skip ahead, you may do so, but for those who want to know why we started to think that there was one coming soon, continue. Well, for those who want to see what evidence we have in terms of a new fighter coming out very soon, there is the 7-Eleven ad which is supposed to change on October 4th. This is all for Japan, by the way, which is usually an indication that a new character is going to be put in an advertisement. And if I remember correctly, there are some evidence within the files of the game itself that have shown, I believe it's the Spirit events, or the tournaments, where they've been numbered differently. They're out of order, and that could be because maybe a fighter was supposed to have already come out at this point.
And things just got pushed off a little.
Yeah.
Yep.
I personally think this would have been the time for the release, because if E3 played out how it usually does, we get a character in the summer, which we did with Min Min, and we get a character in the fall.
Yeah,
Yep.
that usually is the timing with this kind of thing.
Based on what we've had before, however, the pandemic has set things back drastically. I know we keep saying that the pandemic has really affected Nintendo more than it has any others, but I'm willing to bet that they took it far more seriously than most of the other companies, which is probably why things got pushed back about a month or two, because they took things really into consideration on making sure that their workers were safe and were able to work in an environment that they were able to productively get things done.
Yeah.
It honestly seemed like the better call to just play it safe, make sure everyone's safe, rather than just keep pushing out stuff like usual. That really would not have worked out for them in the long run with everything that's gone on.
Oh, no. They needed the time, and they needed to say... I mean, that's kind of like... Okay, I haven't really checked any of the presentations that came from Microsoft and Sony. I've seen a number of things, but have they said at the beginning of if there was a claim saying that they may have had delays due to the pandemic?
I don't think they've mentioned it.
Right.
If not in the presentations themselves, then probably in some secondary source like social media or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you look at the Nintendo Directs and even the partner programs, I believe those too, even they say the footage you're about to see in the game's show may have been affected by the pandemic. So at the very least, they're openly stating, yeah, we're just saying this straight up front.
It's like a 10-second disclaimer in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get people to say, oh yeah, if something doesn't come out on time, here's why.
More or less.
Also, something else I just thought I just kind of remembered, on October 2nd, that's when we're supposed to be getting Mario 35, and if that date is supposed to be accurate for the 7-Eleven advertisement, do you think that they may try to shadow drop a mini direct on us?
If I remember correctly, the ad actually ends on the 4th, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, right. It should also be worth noting that the Direct catalog has been updated recently.
That I'm not entirely...
I think it's for the Hyrule Warriors presentation, but it is worth noting.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes whenever they update something, it's not what we expect it to be.
Yeah.
With Nintendo, it never is, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another big thing is that the Joker and Hero Mii amiibos are coming out right around that time, and we usually get a character reveal generally around the time that the amiibos come out.
That is
true. They did
that.
show the amiibo recently.
So yeah, there's a lot of evidence showing that, yes, a new character is coming very, very soon. Whether they get released by the time they get announced, or within a week or two. We're not entirely sure, but a new character is definitely on the way. And we just want to get over this. We just wanted to go over this theory because, well, it could be one of these characters that we're going to discuss. So, the rated M theory. How does this go? Well, from what I've heard, it's, you know how everybody is kind of questioning why in America we're the only ones within the directs that are getting the names of the characters instead of the series they're from? Well, apparently it has to do with the ESRB or something, where they, if they were to try and put an M-rated franchise logo within the direct, it would have to upscale the rating of the direct. So to avoid that, they just put in the name of the character. This is why we see Altair instead of Assassin's Creed, and why we saw Vault Boy instead of Fallout. This is also a big deal because before, we had seen the Persona 5 logo for Joker and on his when he got invited, but when we saw the final Fighters Pass, all the 5 characters from Fighter Pass 1, all the logos were gone. So yes, the change had to have been done recently. So the theory is, if there's an M-rated character, they had to get rid of the logos so that it doesn't bump up the direct. I believe there's a lot of plausibility behind this. This definitely opens the door to say, yes, there is definitely likely a scenario for an M-rated character to be our next fighter, or at least within some point in the Fighters Pass 2. However, this could also be for Mii Costumes, as we have already seen with Altair and Vault Boy. So we're not entirely sure, but hey, it's fun to discuss this.
Also, a nice little, an extra detail is that, specifically for Altair, that was at the very end of Fighter Pass 1 that he was released. And even at that point, that's when that little quirk in the ratings, that's when it really started.
Right.
Yeah.
That's also when they removed the logo for Persona 5.
Yes.
And it is worth noting that only in the American version of the Direct with Min, the ARMS logo was absent, but in every other version of it, the ARMS logo is present on the
including the 7-Eleven ad.
Yep, including that.
It makes me wonder if they're doing this just for the sake of consistency, now that they have to do what the ESRB says, otherwise it's going to be rated M, or is there really or if they've been told in advance that there's going to be a character from this franchise that's rated M that's going to be playable. Or it could just be a Mii costume.
I think it does have to deal with the M-rated character, because we did have an M-rated character in the first pass, and it wasn't an issue until the last character reveal, which was Byleth. But it is worth noting that Byleth was not confirmed in a direct. And similar to Min, these characters were not in directs. That's why they couldn't show M-rated stuff. However, that's why stuff like Joker, like Persona 5 logo, didn't, bump up the rating in like other directs, because there was already M-rated stuff shown there.
That is true.
Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about some honorable mentions before we actually get to the main cast of characters, the usual suspects that we see pop up time and time again. Here are the honorable mentions that we're kind of putting in there, just saying, yeah, people are going to talk about them. I just don't think it's very likely.
Boy.
It's your turn to talk about this guy because you wanted to bring him up. I'm just saying, not happening.
Here's my complete what are you thinking pick, and it is Kratos, the god from God of War, specifically Prime Kratos, more preferably. Now, this goes all the way back to, for anyone that remembers, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which tried and failed to take the crown of Smash Brothers for crossover fighting games. Correct?
Something like that.
There was an attempt there to, take the crown of Smash, but we all know how it turned out.
It's still a fun game. It's just that it wasn't anywhere comparable to Smash Bros. But if you guys ever see it in a bargain bin, I recommend trying it.
Yeah, that's worth a shot. But anyway, yeah, it goes. My mindset with this goes all the way back to that. And this was roughly around the time when God of War was just almost completely burnt out in regards to the Greek mythology. Because obviously, 5 years after the last game in that era, God of War Ascension, after that was obviously the reboot on PS4. and Kratos definitely changed for better and for worse. Now, here's my thing. It could be on some very slim, next to zero chance, maybe even negative chance, that maybe just in the same way that Microsoft played nice with giving Banjo to Nintendo for Smash for the first pass, maybe by some miracle, it could be possible that Sony behind the scenes could have also played nice, kinda, sorta, and attempted to do the same with Kratos. And also, obviously, it's like Sony has never been one for mascots, as we all know.
Yeah.
But basically, after Crash's fall from grace in the PS2 era, not long after that, we can all agree that Kratos took on that mantle as being Sony's pseudo-mascot, correct?
Either Kratos or Nathan Drake, but yeah.
Oh, he's talking about PS2 era.
Oh,
yeah, because that's where it really kicked off. Nathan Drake, you can argue PS3 onwards, that's where he started, but with Kratos specifically, from my experience, Kratos picked up the baton right where Crash left it off in that respect. And Kratos, especially now, not only with the PS4 game from 2018, as well as God of War Ragnarok, which just got announced for PS5, which a lot of people do have hope for, myself included, to be good. Maybe on that kind of possibility, maybe Sony and Santa Monica might have had some foresight in this hypothetical scenario to have Kratos in Smash, not only to get more hype for Smash, but also to get more hype for God of War Ragnarok, which is set for next year.
And this is why we do the honorable mentions first, because I just don't see this happening, period. I'm sorry, man. Like,
no,
Microsoft,
I don't, but it is fun to think about.
Microsoft is definitely...
Like to play ball with any...
Yeah, Microsoft is definitely willing to play nice with everyone right now. Sony, yeah, I need to see more evidence of that because it doesn't even seem like they're consumer-friendly at the moment.
But if you really think about it, it could be one of, if not the best way that they could gain favor again in that regard. If they just, have Kratos for Smash Brothers. If they do that same strategy with their pseudo-mascot, Kratos, the God of War, it could be a way for that, camaraderie to be more solid in the industry between the three big companies right now. But obviously they're not going to do it, but it is still fun to talk about, fun to think about.
Okay,
it would be
there
awesome
you go.
if it happened.
Yeah, honestly though, when you were talking about Sony having mascots, I had heard that Sony never wanted to have a mascot. They never wanted to be like Nintendo and Sega at the time. That's why Crash was actually their unofficial mascot. He never was their official mascot, despite what people say.
Yes, but Sony ended up having characters so iconic and so recognizable within the industry that they're basically the mascots, even though they say no.
Yeah, right.
Right, they're IPs, but they're not... It's like they're well-known IPs, but they're not mascots? What the heck is this?
That's a bit of a, like a paradox in there, given Nintendo, obviously, Mario, let's go! And Microsoft isn't all that much for mascots either, but they do still put Master Chief in front of everything else, which is something.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, I think we can move away from Kratos now. I think we're all in agreement that he's basically like, this is wishful thinking at the very best. I would never get my hopes and expectations up for this character. You could think about it.
Same for the next one.
Yeah. The next one is also kind of in the same situation, that being a character from Mortal Kombat. I am very sorry to tell you this, but Mortal Kombat is still banned in Japan, so the likelihood of getting somebody like Scorpion is just 0 to none.
Unlike God of War, which at the very least has been published in Japan by Capcom, just to have that little detail there, at least Kratos would be a bit more justified in that specific regard, unlike Mortal Kombat. Yeah, by Capcom, of all people.
Well, it'd be cool to have like more fighting game characters in. Mortal Kombat's just not in the running at all. Like characters like from Tekken or Soul Calibur would make more sense.
If we, let's say everyone ignores that detail and just move on to the series itself. Mortal Kombat, in regards to the history of the gaming industry, is basically the reason why this video exists at all, because they are the Mortal Kombat, along with, I believe, Night Trap and a couple others, were the ones that created the M rating in the first place back in
ESRB
back in the
system,
early
yeah.
90s.
But is that something you really want to be noted for? That you were so violent and so... that...
It's a part of gaming history.
Well, to be fair, they can make it work. They can make it work.
I wouldn't doubt that they can make it work. It's just I doubt that they're going to do it because, you know, it's being developed in a country where the series is banned. So I just don't see this is a thing to happen.
I mean, I'll grant you that. And if I can at the very least grant Injustice anything in regards to Mortal Kombat, is that they were able to make Mortal Kombat work on a lower rating. They were still able to keep like the gruesome, well, not so much gruesome, the heavy impact nature of Mortal Kombat in regards to how Sub-Zero in Injustice 1 and Raiden in Injustice 2 played. They still had that same essence of how the characters played in Mortal Kombat without the things that define Mortal Kombat for what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright, with that taken care of, I think we can move on to their last honorable mention, who I'm only putting this character here just because it's a Square Enix character, and it feels like if there's going to be another Square Enix character, it's going to be, I feel like Geno is the best chance. I don't count Sora as a Square Enix character, I count him as a Disney character. So, you know, if we're going
which is a whole other can of worms altogether.
Yeah.
Let's not.
No, not for this video, but
no,
you know,
not for this one.
For this 2B from Nier Automata, I think it's a little asking for too much to have two characters from the same company on one pass. You can have one character in each of the passes, that's perfectly fine with me, but for some reason, it just seems like if you have two, I don't know, that feels a bit odd to me. So,
yeah,
if you're going to pick one or the other, I think it's going to be Geno. So that's why we put 2B here as the honorable mention.
Now, in terms of... No, go ahead.
I think at the very most, this is kind of skipping ahead here, but I think 2B could be a deluxe Mii costume for the swordsman, where she comes with a song from the game. But if they were to like start doing that with like outside of the indie, I think 2B would like be a front runner for that.
Oh, I agreed, most definitely.
Okay, so we can move on to the actual suspects. These are the characters we believe actually have the best chance of being a playable character. I think definitely one of them would be a playable character if M Theory set or Rated M Theory has any merit to having a playable character. Although it is Sakurai, so you never know, he could pull a surprise on us. So,
True.
The first fighter we're going to talk about, Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes.
Yes, absolutely yes. He has my full support.
This is kind of a full circle for me, because I tried to predict that he would be in Smash for 3DS and Wii U under the assumption that he was going to be a surprise character like Snake was. I was kind of close. We got Bayonetta. That was pretty close.
Yeah.
In the terms of an M-rated character that would surprise us. But yeah, Travis Touchdown. The big deal with him is, okay, Suda51 has been pushing for Travis to be in Smash since Brawl, and he's actually worked with Masahiro Sakurai on Brawl. He's definitely in there in the credits as Suda51. He has, I believe it was even last year, he was still pushing to try to get Travis in, and when asked again this year what his response to Travis being in Smash is, we basically got a big no comment from him.
Yeah.
Sounds like standard NDA stuff to me.
Yeah, that is very NDA.
I want to say it's NDA. I really, really do. But there's also a part of me that's saying that it's possible that he didn't get in and that he's just trying not to admit defeat. I can't ignore that possibility. However, I do feel like it's more likely that he's definitely in the game in some capacity. That's what I want to think.
Yes.
I think he's definitely a front runner because Suda51 has been basically begging for years to have this happen, and No More Heroes 3 would really get pushed next year. That'd really be good for advertising, like, hey, here's No More Heroes 3, but here's Travis from Smash.
The timing would be perfect.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the relationship No More Heroes has with Nintendo, with the exception of the PS3 remake of No More Heroes 1, No More Heroes has basically been a Nintendo console franchise since the beginning. The numbered games and Travis Strikes Back have all been on Nintendo systems. And again, discounting the remake of the first game on PS3, yeah, he's been there from the beginning.
That's not even what really helps him out in the long run. What really, really helps him out is the fact that he'd be so easy to negotiate that Suda51, as we've said, has been basically begging to put him in. They could charge what little they could for the licensing fee, and he'd be perfectly fine with it, it seems. So
yes, I agree with you on that, but it does also help that he's always been on Nintendo for every single game of his series.
Right, but that can only get you so far, because look at Cloud.
Right.
No, I'm not saying that on its own. I'm saying just that on top of everything else.
Okay.
Just saying.
Well, here's the uncomfortable question, CJ. If we do get Travis with his beam katana and dual beam katanas, does that hurt Lloyd's chances at all? Like one of their sword-based?
If he's not a dual sword fighter, he should be fine. But it also depends on what they want to do, because I do have my Lloyd moveset video coming out, and I have 2 big ways on how Lloyd can stand out from all the other characters in the game. And I don't think Travis would have either of those 2.
Yeah, Travis has multiple weapons. Just like he has the standard beam katana, he has the light variant, the heavy variant, and then the dual blade. And they could just relegate all of his beam katanas into separate attacks in his moveset. And also including like the wrestling moves and the finishers, all that. That can all be incorporated and not hurt a similar character's chances.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up too, because he does have wrestling, and the big reason he picked Incineroar over Decidueye was because he wanted to incorporate a wrestler. So if he still had some wrestling moves left over, he could just give it to Travis.
Yeah.
Plus, like, Incineroar could be used as a base for Travis, like, because like you've seen in the No More Heroes feature, like he does like a similar back throw. So
Yeah.
they could just reuse that.
Even in the trailer for No More Heroes 3, one of the one and only wrestling move he does is the German suplex, which for Incineroar is the back throw. So
Right.
Okay,
I like to think that if Nintendo came to Suda51, he just see the Nintendo CEOs like, oh, I know what you're here for. Here, take it.
that would be a likely
Thank
scenario.
Yeah, when Nintendo comes to you asking for a character in Smash, you do not negotiate. You just get on your knees, say thank you for realizing how great my character is, and hand him over on a silver platter.
Unless it's Sony.
Or Square Enix, who just gives it to you with their kicking and screaming.
Yeah, sure. And give you 2 songs.
It's like, here's our character, but we don't want you to have too much of our character.
Sure, let's go with that. Whatever.
You don't even get
remix.
Nomura.
You want remixes? Oh, nah, we won't give you that.
You want us to give you PNGs for spirits? How much do you want from us?
We say nay, good sir. Take your good pleasure out of our establishment.
It still cracked me up that in the Dragon Quest trailer they had the orchestrated music, and then that is not in the game. We get the MIDI files instead. I just find that hilarious.
That was basically the Enix side of the company saying "screw you" to the Square side.
And then they realize what they did, and they're like, "Oh wait, we take it back."
Yep. Okay, moving on.
Yes, we can move on to our next character. This one, it's gonna clash with the character we have coming after them now, but let's just get it over with. Doomslayer from the Doom series. I have never put much stock or faith in a Bethesda character getting into Smash. I thought Vault Boy being a Mii costume was like the best thing you were gonna get.
Well, that's more so the developer inside of Bethesda that has the reins on Fallout, not Bethesda at the top.
Right.
And then the news came out that, well, Microsoft now owns Bethesda.
But here's the thing, though. I'm pretty sure Microsoft would allow all continuing things that they've done with partners and other kind of stuff. Like anything that they've had a deal set before they were bought, they have to honor it. So even if Doomslayer was going to be in Smash, Microsoft would still honor it. Because why wouldn't they? It's a character that they get to advertise.
Yeah.
Well, something was made a deal on.
Yeah.
With Microsoft being like the owner of Bethesda, and say like there was a Microsoft character coming, would there be potential conflict? Like, well, now we're having 2 Microsoft reps in the same pass. Would they be okay
Well,
with that?
they could count Doomslayer under Bethesda or whoever makes that Doom
I
within
don't know
there.
about that.
Yeah.
So here's
Yeah, they'd have to put in the copyright of the company that owns the character, which at that point would have to be Microsoft. But at that point, it's like, okay, nobody saw this coming, not even the developer. So I don't think anybody would fault them for not being able to see this. So yeah, if say for example, if they were to have Doomslayer and Master Chief, and then they're both now counted as Microsoft reps, I don't think many people would have much of a problem with that because there's no way we could have known that this was going to happen.
so
Well, to be fair, Microsoft has been Microsoft. Master Chief has been Microsoft from the beginning. Let's be fair.
Here's my thought process on this whole thing. I personally think that either Doomslayer, Doomguy, or Master Chief is very likely for this pass, but there's no chance that it'll be both of them. My whole thought process
it won't be.
is that, it's basically it's representing the first-person shooter franchise, and both of these are extremely recognizable. Slightly different audiences, but they've stood through the test of time.
Yes.
And
now that Microsoft has both of them, it could be one or the other.
right.
And
So
in regards to Doomslayer specifically, he has the history of it being one of the very first, very recognizable first-person shooters in the market. And it's not like this choice is out of nowhere. If you recall, back in the Super Nintendo, the original Doom was on there thanks to the second edition of the Super FX chip.
The thing is, I think the series, the name itself, is more recognizable than the actual character. When it comes to me for Doomslayer, it's just I don't really feel like what is he gonna do that just really makes him stand out? He would just be the generic FPS guy who, like, what would make him unique and stand out? Like, sure, he's representing the first-person shooters, but what makes him feel like anybody else couldn't fill the slot?
So, a gimmick that I saw floating around online is that a big part of Doom, or at least the recent games, is you kind of have to go in for melee attacks in order to refill your ammo or, get any health upgrades. So, he wouldn't just be something that you're spamming from the other side of the stage. It would be like, yeah, you can use long-distance ranged weapons, but only for a limited time. Then you have to get in there.
So
I personally think his base would be something like Captain Falcon, but with guns.
Basically, he would
just so happens.
So basically, he would have the gimmick of Hero, where he has to fill up a meter.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even refill automatically. Like, you have to get in there and start punching.
Yes, what I see in that is like it just so happens that that 2016 and Eternal just so happened to fill that part of a potential moveset, the melee aspect, the close-up combat aspect. It by some miracle, and ended up feeling that piece of what the moveset for Doomslayer could be. That's just my take.
Okay, because to me it just seemed like he would just be sort of generic using just the weapons in some melees, whereas the next character we're going to talk about, I could see some stuff that they could do with him, that being Master Chief. Yeah, we finally get to talk about the Chief, guys. Okay,
yeah.
so
Master Chief across all of his games has a lot that they could work with. Not just the numbered entries, but also reach, ODST, and some of the other sources for secondary sources for what they could do. There's even the Spartan from that one Dead or Alive game, which isn't Chief. Let's just get that out of the way now. But that Spartan still has some bits and pieces that could be used for a moveset for Chief.
I mean, I've always seen him using certain weapons, like the Needler and a Sticky Bomb, and I feel like that kind of helps make him stand out, and kind of helps fit him into Smash in a way that another first-person shooter would have kind of an issue fitting into the theme of.
I just want the gravity hammer. I love that weapon so much. I would love to see just whack people with it.
I do agree with on that. And it's like, there's a lot of stuff that they can take from even just the multiplayer. They can take a lot of stuff for a moveset. Like weapons, the energy sword could be used for like some of the close-up tilts or the grabs, and then some other grabs could be some of the assassination techniques from Halo 4 and 5, which are they're really not that bad in terms of the violence of them, so they can just be tweaked a little bit, and they can work.
Yeah, let's not forget Snake snaps people's necks in an E10 game. So I think
Yeah, that is still in the game. I'll grant you that.
It's just that the only real thing that bothers me, or the thing that concerns me, is do you think Microsoft would be willing to negotiate for another character, or do you think we were just lucky enough to just get one? Do you really think that they went to them for Master Chief, or even somebody like Steve from Minecraft?
I think they would for sure be down.
Buddy, Nintendo and Microsoft have been. I think they'd be okay with that, especially for Master Chief, especially because like that's their big IP. Halo is huge for them. So like, oh, you want Master Chief? Here you go.
Yeah.
Their main goal right now is trying to get the Game Pass, showing it off to as many people as possible.
Yes.
Now that Halo's on PC and I believe soon to Androids with Game Pass and everything, it's more about just making their characters, making their IP as recognizable as possible, or in the public spotlight. So they would have absolutely no issue working with Nintendo on this.
Yeah. From the beginning, Master Chief has been basically the magnum opus of the Xbox brand. It's like whenever a hardcore gamer thinks of Xbox, usually the odds are in favor of Master Chief being mentioned. And he's been with the brand since the very beginning, despite it originally being for Mac.
The thing I want to say is, like, before, when it came to the Fighters Pass 1, we had been hearing rumors of a Microsoft character coming in, and that's what sparked the speculation. There's no real rumor this time stating that there's going to be a second Microsoft rep, but, you're allowed to speculate and have fun with it. I just don't have as much stock in it as I did the first time.
For Master Chief especially, if they do negotiate with him, much like Travis for No More Heroes 3, it'd be great advertisement for Halo Infinite, and would get Nintendo fans interested in getting an Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S.
And that's why it would be in their best interest to, if they are going to do Master Chief by some miracle, that it would be in the best interest of Nintendo and Microsoft to keep that as hush-hush as possible, so that for both sides, it would be such a phenomenal shock within the gaming industry. It's like, oh, Master Chief, the mascot of Xbox, in quotes, mind you, the mascot of Xbox being on in Super Smash Brothers after Lord knows how long. It's like that would make headlines. Let's be honest,
dude. That would break the internet.
Well,
it would break the internet. It would.
Here's something that I just heard about today. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't affect how business decisions would have been handled last year. Because, wow, did you hear about the fact that the Xbox Series X has sold out of pre-orders in Japan?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
The Series or the One?
Series X.
Which?
Yeah, because there is that incident where God knows how many people bought the One instead of the Series.
Yeah.
It's like, we told you, Microsoft, that it was a dumb name back then, and now.
Let's not forget, after Banjo was revealed and shown off, Xbox was trending in Japan for the first time, because it's like, oh, well, we want to play Banjo on the Xbox One.
Yeah, part of it is because Sakurai just straight up said that. It's like, play Banjo on Xbox One. Let's be honest, that probably helped Microsoft a little in Japan.
Microsoft was like, hey, could you push our console in your presentation, please?
Grease the wheels.
Thank you.
Did you ever see
I wouldn't be surprised if Sakurai did that all on his own, let's be honest.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure he did. But you know what? Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Remember there were people that were trying to say, oh, they're not going to put Banjo in because then they'd be promoting a Microsoft character. And there's Sakurai deliberately stating, go play it on Xbox in a Nintendo Direct. So
yep.
That was just like a big screw you to the console war fanboys. It's like, you do not need to exist. We can be friends.
Yeah, even in the indie world, when they showed off Cuphead, they said our buddies at Microsoft. So
yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, that was wholesome.
Yeah, Microsoft has just been building a much better image of themselves lately. It just, I almost want to get a Series X, but I need to see a must-have game for it.
Besides Halo Infinite.
They really are being the pro consumer right now.
Yes, big time. Is there anything else we want to say about Master Chief?
He'd probably be the easiest one to do skins for because there's a lot of, color variation in Halo already, so.
Just the multiplayer colors.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine all the little machinimas people could do with Red versus Blue and Smash?
Oh, that would be amazing!
Including, especially if the crouching animation for Chief is just the crouch from Halo. Mark my words.
Well, Quick Play is going to have a fun time with that one.
Yeah. Alright.
I'm not even sure if I have to censor that or not. Let's see, so moving on to our next character, we have Dante from the Devil May Cry series. And let's face it, if this guy gets put in, his tagline has to be featuring Dante from Devil May Cry.
That's basically gamer law at this point. And we can probably say that besides Chief, Dante is the biggest character on the list of speculated fighters so far.
I don't know. I think our next guy also has a fair chance with the other two, but let's talk about Dante.
All right.
Dante would be scary because if they do him like he did in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, oh boy. Oh no.
Yeah, I'm nervous to Smash 4 Bayonetta again.
Yeah, let's face it, like Dante is a combo-heavy character. Playing PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale taught me that as well. He's like, oh, how are you? Smash Team, I have trust in you at the moment. I know that there are some things that are completely broken and busted, but please, if you do Dante, do not go over the limit, please.
Oh. Okay, now in regards to history in the industry, obviously, his game, the original Devil May Cry, spawned what we now know as the hack and slash genre. He was the base at least at this point, he's the originator, and games like God of War, Bayonetta, and a lot of others have taken specifically from that series. And in regards to Nintendo, yeah, his place in Nintendo is recent to say the least, but at the very least, one of the biggest games in the series, Devil May Cry 3, which is one of the fan favorites, at the very least they can take from that point, and if they want to put stuff from 4 and 5, by all means.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be mostly Devil May Cry 3 through the Devil May Cry trilogy, but they'll incorporate stuff from 4 and 5 as well.
Yes.
Like, I could see like his Devil May Cry 5 outfit being an alt for him, because I could see the default being the 3, because that's
I would say 5 is an alt, because 5 is basically his appearance from 4, but older, so...
Well, we really don't have much to say about Dante. I haven't been able to play the series, so I can't say
I
much.
mean,
as long as they don't make him as cheap as Smash 4 Bayonetta, we're good.
I just want,
yeah.
I just want them to capture the personality of Dante, because it wouldn't be Dante without it.
Do you think he'll eat a pizza slice for a victory animation?
Please.
That would be perfect.
Oh, if he like enters the battle like by just tapping a jukebox and like turn around saying, "Let's rock."
Yes. And another victory animation would be the guitar from, what was it, 3?
Oh, they had to do him dancing like with the cowboy hat.
That's just Michael Jackson right there. That could be a whole legal nightmare if they went for that.
Yeah, is there anything else we need to say about him? Because I'm just itching to move on to the next guy.
Also, one last thing on Dante. He better have an alt that's the same color scheme as Leon from Resident Evil 4. Because remember, Devil May Cry was going to be Resident Evil 4 before they changed it.
Oh, that's right. Do you think they'll reference the DMC Dante in any way? I
wouldn't mind an alt that's just the colors. If they want to put the costume, by all means, but I wouldn't mind the colors at the very least.
What they should do, do you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
I've never really played Devil May Cry, so I'm really not too knowledgeable in his moveset. But
Same.
I know people talk that it could be another switch out to different weapons kind of deal.
Yeah.
It very well could be. Which is what I was kind of hoping they would do this for the character that we're going to bring up next, but they gave it to Byleth. But hey, they could still make the next guy work. Ryu Hayabusa from the Ninja Gaiden series.
And Dead or Alive.
And Dead or Alive, but primarily Ninja Gaiden.
Yes.
Yeah. Koei Tecmo has such a huge history with Nintendo. It's surprising they only have just a Mii costume, not a Mii costume, assist trophy in.
Yes. There were rumors that Ryu Hayabusa was going to be Fighter Pass 5, and they were really sticking to their guns on that. So the real question is, do you think he was possibly pushed back to Fighter Pass 2?
Maybe he was leak bait,
yeah,
'cause-
that's true.
Yeah, and in regards to the character himself, he's from way back in the NES era. He's from that era of like super hard as heck games that just like you gotta get good at this game. It's like in that same realm of like Lost Levels, Castlevania, and Ninja Gaiden in itself. It's like it's from that retro era where that basically invented get good.
Oh yeah.
He was also one of the first front runners for storytelling in video games because Ninja Gaiden was very story driven.
It had a lot of cinematic cutscenes for an NES game. It was actually very surprising.
Yeah.
The level of detail in them, it was actually really good. But yeah, I feel like he has definitely... They can either go one of two ways. They can either go with the different amount of weapons that he can use, similar to what Byleth did, so they might be able to use that as a base, or they could just give him the power-ups like the original NES games, because he's definitely got a couple of them, like the shurikens, the fire wave. What else did he have? He had a couple of others. I just can't remember them off the top of my head.
Now here's something that I only just realized. What would his default costume be? Would it be his classic traditional ninja gear, or would you guys prefer his default costume be the modern look with the mostly black with some silver and the scarf and everything?
They could do both.
Yeah,
as the default.
As a default, I would think it'd be the more modern one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the
that
more
design is
modern,
really good.
but they'll still have the classic one as an alt.
Yeah, we won't let that one slide if he ends up in the game.
He's probably going to be modeled after his modern design, but still have some like animations and fighting styles similar to the old games.
Yeah, like his run animation, you know it's gonna look like that. It's gonna he'll make him look like a real cheap, lazy running animation, but it's gonna look like it's the NES running it perfectly.
You know how like the Belmonts, when they're hit in the air, have that stun effect from the Castlevania? They need to incorporate that for
the knockback. Oh. No, here's something I can see with them doing with Ryu Hayabusa. You know how Mega Man, for his normal standing A and his jogging A, he fires the lemons, right? And when he jumps, the same for Hayabusa, but it would be his normal like sword slash from classic Ninja Gaiden. Yeah. Standing, jogging, and jumping. It would be that like forward slash, like yeah.
For sure. I honestly, as much as I would like to agree with that, I think they're going to change it up, especially for aerials. But hey, it could work. They did it to Mega Man, but only because of how much he relied on that in his games.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Whereas you get to Ninja Gaiden, the new games, not exactly the same.
The new games just have a lot more they can use compared to classic.
Okay, so now that we're done with that, I think we're done with the main characters. I feel like those are the main M-rated characters that they would think about, and they're definitely the ones we keep hearing over and over again. I mean, who knows? They could throw us a surprise. But we're going to move on to the other kind of area, which is that even though they're rated M, it doesn't mean that they're going to be... It doesn't mean that there will be a playable character. It could just be a Mii costume, and we've already seen evidence of that with Vault Boy. So, what kind of M-rated characters do you think could get a Mii costume? And I hate to say it, but even the characters we just went over, how many did we have? 5 or 6? About 5
for fighters, yes.
For 5, we had all 5 fighters could actually be turned into a Mii costume. So we have to be very careful about that. So considering that they could all be Mii costumes, let's talk about some other possibilities.
If Koei Tecmo gives Ryu Hayabusa, they could turn that assist trophy into a Mii costume, similar to the vein of Zero and other Mii costumes who have assist trophy counterparts like Springman.
I wasn't talking about in that regard, but yeah, that's fine. We were talking about like other characters not in Smash already.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
And just have like her be a gunner, but the camera is the gun.
That'd be good. Just
So
holding it
she
straight out.
shoots you with the camera.
Yep. You know what? I could see that working too. That's just
You know
like one
what?
of those really funny things that you almost want to see happen now.
I can see that, and I can also see Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2. So because even though with Konami with like Metal Gear and Castlevania, there's a lull. There's still that demand for those two as well as Silent Hill. And even though Silent Hill has not touched a Nintendo system at all, it's like Pyramid Head is still a pretty well-remembered M-rated character, if you can call him a character.
Recognizable.
But he's still, in regards to the survival horror genre, Pyramid Head is one of the first recognizable monsters that can come up, and you really wouldn't have to do much to reconfigure Pyramid Head's design into a Mii costume. You just have to clean him up a bit and find out how the proportions of Pyramid Head's look would fit the Mii sword fighter.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Pyramid Head has actually appeared on a Nintendo system as Pyramid Head Bomber from Super Bomberman R, if you want to count that.
Well, in terms of main series, Silent Hill's never had anything on Nintendo.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
But yeah, you are right.
it's-
Like, the Pyramid Head bomber does look cool.
The other costumes we have here, Dragonborn from Skyrim. I'm sorry, who does Skyrim again? Is that also Bethesda?
That's Bethesda.
That is
yeah.
Bethesda.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Bethesda Game Studios.
And it's almost 10
Yep.
years now.
Microsoft is being Microsoft again now. But, okay,
But
yeah.
as a mini costume, which is different.
Yeah. So, okay, that one is interesting. There's also Knight Solaire from Dark Souls, which I feel like a Dark Souls character would feel better as a Mii costume. But that's just me being ignorant because I don't really know that much about the Dark Souls series. So would he be?
Well, Knight Solaire would be, for Mii costumes, would be one of the best choices because he's not that much of a main character, but having the authentic Dark Souls 1 experience, which by the way is on the Switch, the remaster's on the Switch for those who are curious. But Knight Solaire, from day one, has always been one of the most memorable characters of the original Dark Souls. And a part of it has to do when you experience Dark Souls the way you're supposed to. A Dark Souls player gets attached to him, and his heart is in the right place. And yeah, what better secondary character from Dark Souls to put as the Mii costume than Knight Solaire, if not the actual chosen undead, which is the main character, the character that you play as.
And then, we talked about the other characters, and we said, as hurtful as it may be to see some of them be turned into a Mii costume, they all pretty much have the exact same chance to be a Mii costume. Even Dante. Dante could be a sword fighter or a gun, but probably sword fighter. Master Chief and Doomslayer, definitely guns. It's something you don't want to see, but the possibility is there, and it's not something you can just immediately rule out.
Yeah.
So, I think we're going to finally move on to our last category, our final thoughts. Which of the characters here do you think could be our M-rated character? And do you think we'll get more than one, or do you think we might not even get any at all?
I think we're going to get more than one. Because characters like Travis Touchdown and Ryu Hayabusa are so big to the point where it's like, I don't think they would really miss. And Master Chief especially. Master Chief is massive. I don't think Nintendo would ever want to just miss that chance to get that character in.
To try to get at least some Xbox fans into the hype for Smash 2 just because of that, and then from there try more of the game and be hooked on Nintendo for life basically.
I think the next character who, if it is an M character, I think it's going to be Travis, because Suda51 suddenly being quiet about Travis and Smash, despite him being very vocal about it for years, that can't go unnoticed.
It's too much riding on chance to be a one-off coincidence. So my choice, obviously, Travis, and I'm gonna extend it to costumes. For me, the one, if I had to narrow it down to one, out of realistic choices, it would be Knight Solaire, because Dark Souls, going off of the point I made earlier about Hayabusa, of that classic, get good retro era, that Dark Souls was able to reestablish the standard at that time. It's it brought back that sense of, yeah, you really have to pay attention to more than you have been for most of your life up to this point. And so far, From Software has been having a decent relationship with Nintendo, if the remaster of Dark Souls 1 is anything to go by. So with that said, I would say, as a costume, yes, and it's exactly with that in mind, and the Solaire amiibo, I would say yes, Knight Solaire, definitely my choice for a Mii costume, and Travis as a fighter.
I'm still thinking that the most likely from our list is going to be Master Chief or Doom Guy. Travis, definitely I could see happening. You know, if we have more than one, I can definitely see Travis also. I'm still putting my head in for Doom Guy or Master Chief. And in terms of costumes, honestly, I think it could be all of them. You know, I don't think there's any limit or any specific, we can only do this amount. So the more Mii costumes, better.
When it comes to me, though, I feel like whoever is the most easily negotiated for, that's going to be our character. Because, if that is the case, then I definitely think it's going to be Ryu Hayabusa, or it could be Travis Touchdown. I'm just worried Travis Touchdown is actually going to become a Mii costume, and it's just going to either it's going to make some people really laugh at that, and it's going to make some people a little ticked off that, he didn't make it a playable character. But
please, no, Nintendo, you have it right there in your front yard. Do it!
He is on his knees begging, put him in!
Suda and Travis are right there on your front door in Redmond, just begging you to do it.
So yeah, I mean, if I had to go by anything, I think that, because I'm not sure where it is, but I swear I had heard the funding or whatever it is, the budget for Fighter Pass Volume 2 was not as high as Volume 1. So it's like, if you really have to go for characters that are easy to negotiate for, well, you have Koei Tecmo over here who already has an assist trophy and is still working with Nintendo on games, as Age of Calamity has shown us. And then you have Travis Touchdown, which, no more needs to be said about that. Those are the two M-rated characters I feel like we are definitely going to see. Dante could have a chance. I'm just not sure if he's going to be Mii costume or playable character. And that's kind of where I stand. So, does that mean the next character is an M-rated character? That could be anybody's call, to be honest. Based on how we haven't really gotten any leaks at the moment, whether that's because of the pandemic or not, I almost want to say it's going to be another first-party character, just because we haven't gotten any leaks. And it's always kind of the first-party characters who have kind of stayed secretive. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Keeping things under wraps.
As long as it's not another Fire Emblem character, please, Lord.
If it is a first-party character, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Pokemon rep at this point. Let's just let's just get that Band-Aid out of the way. I want to see who it is. Yeah, I'll be happy with Rillaboom. Definitely happy. But we're just going to have to wait and see. So, any other final thoughts before we close?
I think Geno's the next up.
Okay, yeah, Geno could be a possibility, but
we're all hoping for him at this point.
Yeah.
He is the last of the 4 horsemen of the Smash Apocalypse.
Well, okay. In that case, it was Ridley, K. Rool,
King K. Rool, and Banjo. I just really think next up most likely is going to be Geno, especially because technically he's third party, but he's also kind of first party. And if you're thinking that it was going along the lines of part of, if E3 was supposed to be the Mario Anniversary Extravaganza, then they could have wrapped it up with, the Geno reveal, since he's technically a Mario character. Yep. And then, there are those 2 copyrighted songs that Nintendo's been taking down from Mario RPG, and we all know Square Enix only gives out 2 songs each character.
Now, there was something else that happened with Geno that I didn't put in the video. I had it, but I didn't really I couldn't find a good link to it. I couldn't remember the exact source, even though it was straight from PapaGeno's. And that is Smash Legacy XP getting taken down, with one of those characters being Geno. Right.
I don't know if that's a huge thing to bring up, but it definitely adds to the evidence,
Yeah. So it's either Geno's going to be this deluxe Mii Fighter costume that comes with a song or 2, or he finally gets to be a playable character.
Yeah, the thing with Geno has always been the fact that he's been in that copyright limbo between Square and Nintendo since the release of his game, and that has always been the thing. That has always been the hammer that knocks the nail back down whenever it comes up. is
Yep.
that whole legal battle, that whole legal struggle between the two of who really owns Geno. That has to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's pretty much all we have time for today. We have no idea when the next character is coming, although we do feel like it is coming soon. Whether or not it'll be shadow dropped on us, or it'll be announced in a direct, or they'll just flat out say Sakurai presents Challenger Pack number 7 tomorrow. We have no idea. But
We'll
it's
take anything at this point. Anything.
yeah, it has
I
been
don't think-
so dead
like-
quiet that we
Yeah.
haven't heard any leaks or anything, and it just feels like, okay, we kind of know the evidence is there for a new character coming very, very soon. And that's what we're all excited for. Hopefully I can get this and the Lloyd Irving moveset done before that happens, but we'll see. So,
Hang on. I
Yeah.
don't think I mentioned like my prior past 7 prediction.
okay, go ahead.
I think if it's not Geno, I think it's gonna be Travis. I think because Travis would have been the E3 reveal. That would have made a lot of sense because they would probably like cross promoted it with No More Heroes 3, similar to how they cross promoted Dragon Quest 11's trailer with the Hero trailer. But I can also see Geno being the next one because, like we've said, he's the last of the big guns, like the characters everyone speculates on. So him being in finally would end that 10-year, or 12 years, because it's been going on since Brawl.
Mhm.
So it'd be an end of an era, to say the least.
Yep.
But it'd
yes, it
also
would.
be an end of an era if it's Travis, because, hey, Sudas 51's been wanting him since Brawl. I think they're very likely for this pass.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Travis is probably the most likely because he's the easiest to negotiate for when the creator himself is just basically begging for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so at that point, I think we are done. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me on this, and I'll see you guys in another video. Later, everyone!
Later.
Boy.
Until next time.